Good evening, everyone. Hello, Lemonheads. Look, I know. Can you believe it? I'm like on time. This is as close to on time as I get. And boy, we have a big show for you. Guess who we have coming on? Hakeem Jeffries. We have Hakeem Jeffries. He's gonna be a new member of the Lemon Nation. So will you guys make sure that you welcome him? Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the like so that we get a lot of people watching live. We know we always get thousands and thousands of people who watch us, right? Sometimes hundreds of thousands of people who watch the initial broadcast, but we're going to have Hakeem Jeffries on in just a minute. So make sure you're nice to him. He is the minority leader. He deserves some respect. Not that you guys are ever disrespectful, but like my mom said, don't embarrass me in front of company. And so we'll talk to Hakeem Jeffries in just a bit. And we'll get him whenever he's ready to come on. See if he's ready to come on. He's supposed to come on a little bit later on in the show, but I got to tell you, I didn't get a chance this morning to talk to you about being away and being on vacation. I actually had a nice time off, and I had some wonderful people who were filling in for me. And so all of the great, great hosts who filled in, and my friends and my fellow journalists who filled in so that I could get a little time off, because I have been going nonstop, as you guys know, for a year and a half, if not longer. And the only time that I was off of the show wasn't really a time off. And you guys actually took care of me and carried me, meaning the team and also the members of the Lemon Nation, was when my sister died. And I was off for about a week. And so other than that, I really haven't had a day off, because even on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm still doing stuff. So thank you guys for being so understanding and being great to all of the hosts and everybody who, who took care of the Don Lemon Show and the Don Lemon channel. We're so glad that Hakeem Jeffries, when he comes on, that he recognizes the importance of this program, the importance of being, on with the Lemon Nation, our very loyal viewers who have been asking about him, who have been wanting him to come on. And so we're going to get him. But I was so fired up this morning, and thanks for going with me. It kind of went a little bit viral, talking about what happened in Texas. And just pardon my French, the shit response from this administration, who has been cutting, which I'm going to talk to Hakeem Jeffries about. They have been cutting, funding, gutting FEMA, and those kinds of things. And the big bullshit bill, the big bamboozle that they've been having, that they jammed through, is not going to help in any of that. And I wanted you guys to be aware of that. I was so upset and fired up about it because, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. I don't care if you're a MAGA person. I don't really care when you're involved in a situation like this. We're all Americans when this happens. It doesn't matter who you voted for. When something like that happens, it is tragic. But when I hear and see people who have been supporting MAGA, who've been outspoken about MAGA, who have been demonizing people on the left, who have been trying to tell you, hey, these guys aren't good for you. And then, you want people to treat you humanely, like they should and like they have been. Once a tragedy happens and you realize that you need FEMA, you realize that the person you voted for does not have your best interest at heart. That maybe you are a MAGA or a Republican, but perhaps in this moment, the Democrats and people like Hakeem Jeffries, maybe they are actually the people who are really on your side and who are going to help you. Even though if they may not agree with you politically, maybe they're looking out for you. When other people are just grifting and making money off of you, I'm going to put the picture up. Did we have the picture? I sent you guys a picture of this vacation that you can see. Got a great time off. And it's about time. This was us, some friends, very nice friends who took us, treated us to this trip. And so it was so great. We were in Greece, actually. And that is us. And yeah, there we go. That's the only picture that I have. Isn't that great? But the weird thing is, thank you very much. You guys can take that down. The weird thing is I'll talk to Mike Nellis. Mike Nellis on Substack today. I talked to Mike Nellis. He is an advisor, a former advisor to Kamala Harris and also Joe Biden, a Democratic advisor and fundraiser. And Mike Nellis was in Montana, and he said he was surprised by the lack of media coverage, at least in the sense of outrage from the people who were not getting help. The warning was terrible. It's awful that kids died, that people died. And quite honestly, I got the most information from logging onto social media, at least the information about how much people were hurting, not just the sort of rote sports-like coverage, 50-yard line coverage of, oh, the storm is here and this is it, and the flooding was here and that, but people who are actually in pain, people who are hurting, just how many people were dying. I heard about that mostly on social media and streaming. And didn't get a lot of it from my alerts from the mainstream media. I don't know what's going on, but every time I see someone on mainstream media interviewing, especially so folks who are trying to help people, there's always some agenda where it's like, gotcha, right? There's always some, false equivalency where if I say something that's a little bit, critical of Republicans, then I must say something that's critical of a Democrat. And that's really not what the media is supposed to be about. It shouldn't be about false equivalency. It should be about truth and facts. Some things are objectively bad. I've always believed that. So if I criticize a Democrat, doesn't necessarily mean that I have to criticize a Republican. Although in this moment, you guys know, I don't belong to a political party. I'm an independent because I'm a journalist, right? But I believe the Democrats are the only ones in this moment who are trying to uphold democracy. But you guys know that I feel Republicans right now, who was I telling this? I was seeing this to Mike Nellis, where he was saying Republicans are not all bad people, or he didn't wish any harm on the Republicans. Of course that's true. But the Republican Party right now is doing bad things. They're the party of MAGA. They're the party that's upholding this crazy mess of administration and a man who has really very little, no morals. And I don't understand what's going on. And I think that you have to stand up in this moment, and that is what the media is supposed to be about. Let's bring in Hakeem Jeffries, the Minority Leader. Leader Jeffries, thank you for joining. I thought you were coming on it a little bit later, but I'm glad that you're here. I wanted to bring you on after the ad break, but we'll work it out. Good to see you. How are you?
With you.
Look, I was just talking about what's happening in Texas. Can we start with what's happening in Texas and the response there? And our hearts, of course, go out to the folks in Texas. But I am concerned about the response from this administration and the warning as well, considering all of the cuts that they are having, that they are implementing in this big BS bill, and what's to come. I'm worried that my fellow Americans, if there is an emergency, another natural disaster, that they too will not be taken care of. Am I wrong to be concerned about that?
You're absolutely right to be concerned, Don. And, our thoughts and prayers, of course, go out to all of the victims and their families in terms of this horrific tragedy in the hill country of Texas. Dozens of children who have died and many more still missing. No parent should ever have to bury their child. But we know dozens of parents are now going to have to bury their children, and other families are in deep mourning. And so, we also want to thank the first responders who are still in the middle of a search and rescue operation.
Right.
And we stand by them in their efforts. But at the same time, Don, as you pointed out, we have a responsibility to ask questions as members of Congress as it relates to what happened, why did it happen, how do we prevent this type of tragedy from ever happening again? Why has the Trump administration devastated the National Weather Service, fired hundreds of people? What impact did that have on the ability of the National Weather Service to work in coordination with the government of Texas to actually provide a warning to the people that there was a high risk of flooding that could be dangerous and devastating? We also have to ask the question, why has the Trump administration indicated publicly that they want to defund FEMA? Are you kidding? Right? That would be a man-made disaster as it relates to the ability for the United States government to respond in a comprehensive and compassionate fashion. The other thing, last question that we have to immediately ask is, why did Governor Abbott and the local authorities in Texas fail to actually mitigate the flood risk that they knew was high and ignored the antiquated nature of the flood warning system that existed in the Texas Hill Country? These are all questions that need to be asked so we can prevent this type of tragedy as best we can from ever happening again.
Are you getting any answers from them?
We haven't got any answers yet, but we are going to demand that there are congressional hearings upon our return to Washington next week. And we need to make sure that we subpoena all of the relevant officials so we can get to the bottom of what happened and how do we prevent this type of tragedy from ever occurring again. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered. The irony of it all, Don, is that in the middle of the California wildfires, Donald Trump and Republicans had no decency. They went after Governor Newsom and local elected officials in California without any facts, any evidence, blamed them for the wildfires, threatened to withhold assistance to the people of California. And now, because Texas presumably is a red state, crickets from these people as it relates to the critical questions that need to be raised. If they don't raise them, we will.
Well, let me ask you, because I mean, he seems to be, look, I don't know how you feel about this. He is running, it appears to me he's running roughshod over the legislative branch. I mean, he's supposed to be in charge of the executive branch. You guys have the purse strings, but he's running roughshod over you guys. It looks like he's not paying attention to you guys. He doesn't care what you guys say or do, or no matter how much you threaten him. The same thing, with the judicial branch. He seems to be defying federal judges. So what are the American people supposed to think? Because they're out here looking for Democrats. Like, Democrats, you're holding the line now. Is he actually going to pay attention to you? You think it's going to have any effect on you if you say, hey, we're going to question you? Are you going to get any answers from him, you believe?
Well, we have to continue to press our case. And as we've done relative to his failed administration, is why he's sort of the most unpopular president in American history at this juncture, as was the case at the 100-day mark. And it's gotten worse for him, not better. We're going to continue to press our case as it relates to the one big ugly bill, how much of a disaster that is for everyday Americans, and all of it being done to reward their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks, while at the same time taking healthcare away from millions of people, closing hospitals and nursing homes and community-based clinics, denying people coverage, premiums, copays, deductibles. For people with private insurance are going to increase. They're ripping food out of the mouths of children, and they're exploding the debt and the deficit, possibly taking us on a course toward national bankruptcy. This is why the one big ugly bill is so deeply unpopular, because we have been pressing our case. And at the moment, we just need a handful of Republicans to actually decide to act like they're part of a separate and co-equal branch of government.
But with all due respect, Congressman, Leader, do you think there's going to be one Republican that's going to act like, that's going to have some empathy? And come on.
Well, listen, here's the thing. You're absolutely correct to be skeptical. 2 Republicans did vote against the one big ugly bill. We needed 2 more to join us, and we could have stopped it. 3 Republicans did vote in the Senate against the one big ugly bill. We needed an additional Republican, and we could have stopped it. Unfortunately, Lisa Murkowski, the senator from Alaska, talked a big game, talked about how bad the bill was, and then voted for it.
Yeah, come on, just her and Susan Collins, and Susan Collins is like, I'm concerned. I'm going to write a strongly worded letter. Look, I know that you can't criticize your colleagues, but I will. I don't expect Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins ever to do the right thing, because history has shown us, and their behavior has shown us, their record has shown us that they're not going to do it. They're just going to go with the Republicans every single time.
So, Don, this is why we need the American people to be in a position to do the right thing next November, when the American people will have an opportunity to weigh in about the type of officials that they want to see in Congress fighting hard on behalf of their interests. I know this is a trying and turbulent and very challenging time. During the founding of the Republic, I think it was once observed that when the people fear the government, there is tyranny, but when the government fears the people, there is liberty.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what we have to do is win over the hearts and minds of the American people, so that the American people will rise up through the democratic process and hold these extremists accountable, particularly in Congress, who have chosen to be nothing other than reckless rubber stamps for Donald Trump's extreme agenda.
Yeah. And look, I got to say, right, Collins did actually vote against a big, beautiful bill, right? Busted bill. I just want to correct. So maybe you're right. Maybe there's some hope, but I'm a little bit more skeptical than you. I'm a little bit more glass half empty. I know that you're always very positive about things. Let me, speaking of November, by the way, when I was on vacation last week, I took time away from my vacation, much needed vacation, and I watched almost the entirety of you standing there. How many hours was that?
8 hours and 44 minutes, but who's counting?
Okay, let me play a little bit of it because I was like, wait a minute, this man is preaching. He's in church. Let's play a little bit. Here it is.
To serve as a reckless rubber stamp of President Trump's extreme agenda, I still have faith in the United States of America. Still have faith in the United States of America. I still have faith in the United States of America. We will not let anyone in this town destroy what America represents. Not now, not ever. It's not going to be easy. We recognize that. But we've got faith.
Here it is.
In the resilience of the American people. So I get ready to close shortly in.
Take your time.
Okay, so the reason I'm laughing is because that's how my church is every Sunday. Take your time, sir. Look, there are a lot of folks who loved it. I love listening to it, but you know what the criticism is. It's like, we're going to need more than that to fight against what the Republicans, the MAGA party is doing, what Donald Trump is doing. We're going to need more than oratory. That was very good. I wish that you would have gone until July 5th so that he wouldn't get what he wanted on July 4th. But what do you say to people who say, we're going to need more than that? We need more than just Hakeem Jeffries standing there and preaching, so to speak.
We understand because we are in what I've called a more is more environment, and we need more of everything. More rallies, more protests, more sit-ins, more speeches on the House floor, on the Senate floor, more amendments. We flooded the zone with hundreds of amendments as part of this process to push back against the one big ugly bill, pulled all-nighters regularly in order to push the envelope as much as we could. We're going to continue to hold town hall meetings in Democratic districts and town hall meetings in Republican districts, site visits all across the country. Some site visits have even taken place overseas. We are in a more is more environment because the nature of the extremism that's being unleashed on the American people is extraordinary. This flood the zone approach is designed to try to disorient people and distract people and discourage folks, but we're not going to step back. We have to fight back. We have to show up and stand up and speak up, as John Lewis would always urge us to do when we see wrong, in order to get the situation turned back around. So I don't disagree with you. We are in a more is more environment, and we've got to keep the intensity at the highest level possible.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned John Lewis. Can we talk a little racism here? Okay. Yeah, and this is how I see it. I don't know how you see it. I want to play this for you. I'm always embarrassed to play it because it just really irked me. But this is Andy Ogles, I believe, on Yes. He's on with, I forget who the guy is again. But this is what he said after you had your 8-hour filibuster. Here it is.
Your response to that, Congressman?
Well, when I listen to Hakeem Jeffries, it drives me bananas. I mean, come on, just talk, man. I know he can talk. I've heard him on the House floor, but this whole fake thing that he does, and his hands, and he does this, like, all right, are you doing sign language? Are you rapping? Are you trying to talk to us? Like, pick a lane and just do it, right? But no, this is nonsense. I mean, again, you have an administration that allowed our country to be invaded. And
enough of that. What do you think? Do you want to respond to that?
Andy Ogles is a malignant clown. This guy's whole life is made up, Don. The guy has lied about being involved with law enforcement. He's lied about his academic pedigree. He's lied about being an economist. The guy is a fraud. And this is what the modern day Republican Party has become. And it's shameful. This guy needs to be defeated. And certainly he's one of the people who we will make sure we hold accountable for his irresponsible behavior, his failure to serve his constituents, and the repeated lies that he's told as soon as we have the opportunity when we're back in the majority.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for answering that. Again, like I hate playing stuff like that. I had to when I was on mainstream media, stuff like that. I'm like, this guy is a clown. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to ask Hakeem Jeffries that because it's so ridiculous, but I'm glad you responded. And I think that you're right about it. Can we talk about, I mentioned a bit earlier about the Democratic Party, and they're going to need more than, oratory, and because the people want you to hold the line. Okay. So, let's talk about the future of the Democratic Party and our good friend, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Now, consider the source here because it's a new NRSC poll. It finds that Crockett leads Colin Allred by 15 percentage points in a hypothetical matchup for Texas Democratic Senate primary, for the Democratic Senate primary there. Do you think this race, that this is a race that is worth her jumping into, or is it more valuable for her to stay in the House?
Listen, she is a powerful voice in the House of Representatives. And so she'd be a loss to the Judiciary Committee and a loss to the Oversight Committee, which, as you know, Don, are two incredibly important committees at a moment like this. I haven't talked to her about her possible interest in a Senate race. We know Texas is a tough state for Democrats. Someone will eventually break through. And Colin Allred ran a great campaign in the last cycle. And is also someone I have a lot of respect for in terms of his capacity. And so we'll sort of see how things unfold. The Texas Republicans are also targeting some historically Black and Latino districts for possible mid-decade gerrymandering because these people are running scared. And they know they can't take their case to the voters and win on the merits. And so they're doing all that they can, including now apparently in Texas, when they should be focused on providing relief to the people who are suffering and getting their act together in terms of flood mitigation and early warning systems. But instead, Don, you've got the governor and Texas Republicans trying to snatch a few congressional seats in this upcoming special session. The whole thing is ridiculous. It's outrageous, but it's who these people have become. Facts don't matter. Hypocrisy is not a constraint to their behavior, and they actually have concluded that their shamelessness is a superpower. But we're going to make sure that truth and righteousness and good trouble becomes their kryptonite.
I don't know if you can see the screen now. You just said you're going to fight against these people. Lynn says we need Democrats to have the same energy as Republicans. I get that a lot. And there are a lot of frustrated. I got to tell you, a lot of folks have been critical of the Democrats on this particular channel and show. They still love you guys, but they're like, man, I wish Hakeem would do this. I wish they would do this. I want more Jasmine Crockett energy. We need more AOC energy. They need to lean into the progressive side of their party a bit more and give some younger voices a chance. But also, they don't want you to be Republican light. They want you to be Democrats, to care about people, to be progressive. What do you say?
Listen, I think that we have an incredible amount of young voices who are part of the House Democratic Caucus. And that's part of what makes the House special, that we've got a whole wide variety of members, including the youngest member of the House of Representatives, Maxwell Frost, who continues to do his thing, push the envelope, push back hard. But I also recognize that in addition to what we need to do in pushing back against the Republican extremism with righteous intensity at all times, and I tried my best to do that when I spoke on the House floor, the Democratic team worked hard to do that in connection with this fight against the one big ugly bill. I'm proud of the fact that every single House Democrat, from the most progressive to the most conservative, progressive, New Dems, Blue Dogs, all strongly opposed this effort from the very beginning when it started in February all the way through to the end. And now we're going to get out on the road and talk directly to the American people. We also have to articulate our vision for the type of America that we actually want to bring about, because people are hurting in a wide variety of ways. The cost of living is way too high. Far too many people are living paycheck to paycheck. Imagine in America, this is the America I want to see, where when you work hard and play by the rules everyone can afford to live the good life, good paying job, good housing, good health care,
I
good
don't think
education
anybody
for your
can
children.
disagree with you. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But the question was, they want Democrats to have the same energy. They don't want purity tests anymore. They don't want you guys to kick out Al Franken for some infraction that was just ridiculous. They don't want you to get rid of your strongest voices because of one or two or three indiscretions. Look who's in charge of our government right now. Look who is a Donald Trump appointee. Look who the head of the Defense Department is, the Secretary of Defense, and all of those folks. These aren't, beacons of morality and purity who are in charge of our government. And I think they want, you guys to kind of have the same attitude and about the Democratic Party, like, fight, take the gloves off. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, listen, as I indicated, we're in a more is more environment now. As it relates to, Jasmine, for instance, I supported. I was actually the person that recommended that we put Jasmine Crockett on the Judiciary Committee, along with Jared Moskowitz and Dan Goldman, and Sidney Kalmagadov, all relatively new members of the Congress, because they're fighters and they're going to push back aggressively against the extremism that is unfolding. I supported putting Representative Ocasio-Cortez on the Energy and Commerce Committee. She's a great member of that committee, where she's able to push back against the attacks against Medicaid and healthcare and the Affordable Care Act, and all of the things that Republicans decided to include in this aggressive one big ugly bill that will hurt everyday Americans. It's important that we obviously unleash the full might of the House Democratic Caucus. No one person can do this alone. If in fact this is an unprecedented moment, and it is, then it's an all hands on deck moment in terms of us responding. And I'm fully on board with that as the effort that is needed in order to get us through this moment.
I want to move off of this, but I just want to ask you, what do you think of, because, she ran for the head of the Oversight Committee and she lost to Congressman Garcia. What do you think of that?
It was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting because it was a competitive race and you had four different candidates who brought different strengths to the fight. Robert Garcia, who's also in his second term, a younger member of Congress, was able to put together a successful campaign in terms of just his outreach, member to member to member. And he ran a great race and he was successful. And he had a strong base to start with in terms of the California delegation, which of course is the largest delegation in the country. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus was fully behind him. And he had a lot of support from some of the younger members in the Congress. And he just put it together in a way that was successful. But everybody, all four candidates, made strong cases, brought different strengths to the contest. And then the caucus just worked its will.
Let's continue to talk more about the future of the party, because you know what's happening in New York City right now, right? You've got Zohran Mamdani, who is more than likely going to be the mayor. Look, I can't predict things. I stopped predicting in 2016. But you have said that you don't really know each other well. And you said, now I know you are slated to meet. I know that you're slated to meet with him. But explain to me why you haven't endorsed him. Why haven't you endorsed Zohran Mamdani?
Yeah, whether Zohran was the candidate, as he is at this point in terms of emerging with the Democratic nomination, if it was Andrew Cuomo, if it was Council Speaker Adrian Adams, if it was Controller Brad Lander, any of them, as part of my process, not just as the congressman from the 8th Congressional District, but as a more senior member of the New York City Congressional Delegation and as House Democratic leader, wanted to have an opportunity to sit and chat with the nominee, talk about the issues of importance to the district that I'm privileged to represent, talk about their vision for the future and dealing with some of the challenges that we have. And Zohran ran a race that was really anchored in the affordability issue. And he did that with great vigor. He outworked, he out-messaged, and he out-organized the opposition. I also want to be able to talk about, with the Democratic nominee, the importance of taking back control of the House of Representatives and what that looks like in terms of the seats that we have to defend in New York State, including 2 in the New York City suburbs, the seats that we think we can potentially flip in New York State, including one in the New York City suburbs, and what that looks like in terms of the nation. I think all of my colleagues in Washington would have an expectation that on their behalf, I share our perspective as it relates to the battles that we're waging right now in defense of the American people and what that kind of partnership could look like as we move forward.
But you also said that you need to figure out, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm paraphrasing here. He needs to speak out strongly, or you need to know that he's going to speak out strongly against anti-Semitism. And maybe I don't want to, Jeffrey says Mandani will need to aggressively address the rise in anti-Semitism in New York City. Why do you need to speak to him about that?
Yeah, I think he's indicated publicly that it's something that he understands he needs to address. And I agree with him in that observation. I think from my standpoint, I have the unique opportunity to represent a district that is actually traditionally the ninth most African-American district in the country, and at the same time, the 16th most Jewish. And so I think it's critically important. New York City is a gorgeous mosaic for whoever is going to be the next mayor to be in a position where everyone feels safe, protected, and respected. And we've seen a staggering rise in anti-Semitic incidents in the city of New York and across the country. And I think, as Zoran has mentioned, he recognizes that he has a need to address that issue decisively, along with a whole host of other things. You know, being the mayor of the city of New York is probably the second toughest job in America after the presidency. And it's tough for a wide variety of reasons. And anyone who goes into that office should put themselves in a position where they have as much support from the diverse communities all across the city. In fact, you know, one of the things that I hope to talk to him about, look forward to talking to him about, relates to his ideas on how we deal with the housing crisis that has plagued far too many communities in New York City for far too long. You've got historically Black and Latino communities who are being wiped out by gentrification and housing displacement. It's a painful thing, Don, when you were in these communities for decades, particularly in the middle of the crack cocaine epidemic. Many people fled, you stayed, turned these communities around, and now you're being priced out of the only neighborhoods that you've ever called home because you've become victims of your own success. And
look, don't I know it? I mean, I know you know New York better than me. You are a native New Yorker. I have, I've only lived in New York since the 1990s. But look, I know, Harlem, when I lived in Harlem, the same thing. The folks are like, we're getting priced out of our very own neighborhood. And I understand that, and you're right about that. But the thing is that I have to ask you, why do you think you need to talk to him about it? Do you think that Zoran Mandani is anti-Semitic? And why do you think you want to talk to him about that? He needs to aggressively address anti-Semitism here.
Zoran has said that he understands that there's a need for him to aggressively address the rise in anti-Semitism in the city. I know,
but I asked Eric Adams last week or the week before, I asked Eric Adams if he thought Zoran Mandani was anti-Semitic, and he said yes. Now,
I don't know why. I mean, I can't speak for Eric Adams, but I mean, I think that these kind of.
Do you think that Zoran Mandani is anti-Semitic?
No, I don't think that these kind of personal attacks are the type of discourse that we should be having in the city of New York right now. Eric can speak to what Eric had to say. What I've said is that any leader, right, needs to be able to lay out a plan for keeping all communities safe. Any leader, but certainly someone who's going to be a mayor or a governor or the president of the United States, particularly when we're living in a climate right now where we know Donald Trump does the exact opposite. So, I mean, I think
also a New Yorker, by the way.
Unfortunately, Queens, not Brooklyn.
What do you say to folks who are like, well, he hasn't endorsed Mandani and he wants to ask him about anti-Semitism because he gets a lot of money from AIPAC? What do you say to that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because the average contribution, my average contribution to my reelection, and I raised more than $20 million for my reelection last cycle, and I'm thankful for the incredible amount of support from the people of Brooklyn and New York City and beyond, is less than $36 per contribution. It's insulting when people want to peddle some narrative that I'm raising big money from people who may have a pro-Israel orientation, many of whom I actually represent. But when you look at the whole scope of the money that I've raised, and I challenge anyone, is all publicly available, to dispute this. The average contribution that I receive is less than $36 per person. These are everyday New Yorkers and everyday Americans who I'm proud to have earned their support. So if some people have an agenda because they want to try to undermine me for whatever the reason, you got to ask them, not me. I don't understand it. We're just trying to battle Donald Trump. Then that's their issue to work out. But I'm going to make sure that the facts are actually known, because people peddling this false narrative, it's insulting to the people who actually support me.
Yeah. Did you guys, did that cut out the last couple seconds? It did for me. Did you guys hear that clearly, producers?
Yeah, I heard everything.
We heard the last bit of his answer.
Yes,
we did. Okay, so it cut out for me on my end. So thank you for answering that, Mr. Leader. But look, I do have to look. Let me just say this. I live in New York. I know Andrew Cuomo. I know Eric Adams. I have met Curtis Sliwa. I remember when he was part of the Guardian Angels, and was it Lisa Sliwa back in the late 80s, early 90s. So I know New York. So you have Curtis Sliwa, who's a Republican. You have Eric Adams, who had his, issue with the law, and then Donald Trump, of course, pardoning him. You have Andrew Cuomo, who had his issues and had to resign. Who else are you going to endorse? I mean,
I have one meeting that's scheduled, and it's with the Democratic nominee.
Mandani. I mean, I have to. I got to be honest with you.
I feel you, brother. I've got one meeting that's scheduled. One meeting as House Democratic leader. One meeting that's scheduled is with the Democratic nominee.
Okay, all right, that's it. So you will you if it goes okay? Do you think it's going to go okay? Will you endorse him? Do you plan on endorsing him? What does he have to say to get you to endorse him?
Well, listen, I don't want to get ahead of the meeting, but the meeting is scheduled, and and it's one meeting. It's the only meeting that I have. And I said to every single one of my colleagues in the congressional delegation, I'm going to have that meeting on their behalf, because there's some issues that need to be raised on their behalf and on behalf of the people that we collectively represent. It's the right thing to do. I mean, this just happened, and I was not home because we were battling the extreme MAGA Republicans and pushing back against this one big ugly bill, this devastating attack on healthcare, on nutritional assistance, on higher education. I mean, they're cutting Pell Grants. The whole thing is disgraceful. They're attacking good paying American jobs. They're going to raise utility bills. And of course, all of this is being done to reward their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks. And so, I think the people would expect that I'd be able to take the time to sit down and have a conversation with the Democratic nominee as we move forward throughout this process.
Yeah. Look, as you know, I'm looking down because I'm reading the comments as they come up, and I want to be able to respond to certain things. Look, our subscribers and viewers, they're very opinionated, and they've been leaving their thoughts up there. I just want to ask you a couple more things, and now I'll let you go, because I want to be respectful of your time, and I want you to come back here. And I appreciate that you are addressing all of these things, and I know that you probably appreciate the opportunity to address them. So can we talk about, did you hear the story about Mandani and the whole college thing that the New York Times wrote about, and that he, said that he was African-American? Okay, Mandani identified as Asian African-American on a college application. Okay, and then he said Ugandan, trying to, explain it. I explained it. But then, I was listening to my friend Rachel over on the Higher Learning podcast, and this is what she had to say about this, about people being afraid to question Mandani on this stuff. Here it is.
He tried to mislead on who he is as a person on a college application for the benefit to advance in society by going to this Ivy League school. There's no other way to say it. And we have to hold his, as much as we like him and what he stands for, we have to hold his feet to the fire. If this was somebody else, we would rip them apart. So we have to hold him accountable for it, because it is so wrong, and it doesn't seem as wrong because in present day, he's not the terror that an Elon Musk is. But that's manipulative.
Do you agree with that?
Interesting, because there have been a wide variety of opinions in this area. A lot of African Americans have actually expressed that same perspective. That's not to say anyone's walking away from any prior support that they may have articulated with respect to the Democratic nominee. But, you know, race is a very sensitive issue in this country. And of course, the African American journey is unique in terms of the trauma and turbulence and the trials and tribulations that we've had to work through. That said, I think Zoran ran a campaign that was anchored in addressing the affordability crisis that exists in New York City. And he was able to channel the anxieties that exist amongst many communities across the country, and certainly many neighborhoods in New York City related to the high cost of living, the fact that it's overwhelming, and the fact that New York City is at risk of becoming a place only for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. That's not the New York City that I grew up in and came of age in the 80s into the early 90s, dealing with the crack cocaine epidemic and how New York City has been resilient and emerging through that and other challenges, but still wanted to maintain, you know, a city that is a gorgeous mosaic of people of every race and every religion and every ethnicity, and people from all across the world. So I think that Zoran has addressed that issue, and the most important thing that will be on the minds of the people of New York City and the electorate moving forward, I believe, will be who is going to address this affordability crisis in a decisive way that's not just talk, but action, because the people want to see action and deserve it. And a mayor will be positioned to actually deliver action, and who's going to keep us safe, right? Those are going to be the two issues that will be most critical as we head into the fall general election campaign, and then put it into the hands of the voters on that first Tuesday in November.
Leader Jeffries, I really thank you for coming here. And I want to say there's this silly little thing, again, something I didn't want to ask you, but I'm going to ask you because I just saw you in the airport and you look like, I mean, you're in better shape than I am. But then there's this thing going on the internet that's like, oh my God, look, can you guys put this up? They're saying, oh my God, this is Photoshopped. He's trying to make himself look better. I don't know what is going on, but let me just tell the folks who are out there. I just saw Leader Jeffries in the airport no more than 2 weeks ago. And he looked pretty athletic and okay to me. What do you think of this? Is dumb?
Yeah, listen, if I was trying to hide from the American people who I am or how I present, I would not have stood on the House floor for 8 minutes and 44 seconds for all the world to see.
Thank you, Leader. Next time, look, I'd love to go out and have a beer if you don't drink, or have a coffee and to talk about these issues. And that's how I want you to feel when you come on this program, that you don't have to be so buttoned up and you can talk about these issues. We're not here to insult anybody or to, and not here to, it's not a gotcha show. Okay. And so I appreciate your candor and I wish you the best of luck. And when you endorse, I wish you would do it right here on the Don Lemon Show. We would certainly appreciate it. And by the way, thank you so much for supporting and respecting independent journalists and coming on this program. Okay. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Don. Appreciate what you do.
All right. Thank you, sir. Leader, the Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Man, that was a great interview. Did you guys enjoy having him? I love that he answered all the questions. We had a good time, and you guys did not embarrass me in front of company. So I want to know what you guys think in the comments about all of this. Let me know. We're going to discuss in just a moment. I just busted through the ad break because we're having such a great time. So if you will stand by, and then we'll talk about it. We're going to talk about all of this, okay? So let's stand by, and I'm going to do a little word from our sponsors, okay? So support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from BetterHelp, Better, H-E-L-P. So look, I just want to talk about the rise of workplace stress in this country and how you can take this summer to focus on wellness for yourself. There are small steps that you can do to manage your workday challenges. Okay. Workday stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health in this country. 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress. You guys know how I feel about mental health and about getting help for mental health issues. No stigma. As a matter of fact, the exact opposite. Go see a therapist, go talk to someone. And this is where BetterHelp can come in, because it can make it more accessible, more affordable, more convenient for you to be able to get the help that you need. Okay. So workplace stress, now one of the top causes of declining mental health in this country. 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress. So to battle stress, most of us can't really wave goodbye to work, but we can start small with the focus on wellness. And it's a little bit more than taking a vacation. Okay. So let's talk about the benefits of therapy. Look, I can tell you how much having a therapist has helped me. I don't know if I would have been able to get through the last couple of years of my life, especially the last couple of months with, the tragic events in my family. They have more than 30,000 therapists that can help you worldwide. They've been doing it for more than 10 years of experience. More than 5 million people they've helped globally, and they've got a 4.9 out of 5 on the app. Okay, 1.7 million client reviews on that app review. So it's convenient too. You can join the session with a therapist. You can click a button, just with a click of a button at any time. So it is the largest online therapy provider in the world. It can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. So our listeners here on the Don Lemon Show get 10% off with their first month at betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. That's betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. Support for the show today also comes from the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Okay. There are going to be lots of folks who are going to be sitting around. They're going to be telling stories. They're going to have talking about stuff. You know, people get in the summer, they're going to have a couple of beers and whatever, and they're going to be discussing around whether it's a campfire, the cookout, or whatever it is, the barbecue. And look, but there's one group that's trying to control the whole story, claiming that the U.S. was founded as a Christian nation and pushing their religion into classrooms, courtrooms, and even to your doctor's offices. And that should not happen. Arizona voters protected abortion rights in the state constitution. Politicians are trying to undermine it anyway. Texas is trying to push for a bill for the 10 Commandments to be in public schools. It is outrageous what is going on. That's where the Freedom from Religion Foundation comes in. They have been defending church-state separation since 1978 in the courts, in the schools, or wherever religion tries to take the wheel. So if you believe that government should serve everyone and not just the religious right, make sure you join them. Go to ffrf.us/freedom or text my name, Don, to 511-511 and become a member today. Join them and go to ffrf.us/freedom or text Don to 511-511, because the only story that should run this country is ours, not theirs. Okay. Text fees may apply. Okay. Let's, as the late great Joan Rivers used to say, can we talk? Can we talk? All right. So make sure you smash the screen if you are watching us on TikTok. By the way, TikTok is like mad at us because they think, I don't know what they think we're talking about. Anyway, we get like a restriction or something almost every day on TikTok because the AI picks up something we say and then they go back and go, sorry, it was just too aggressive. So anyways, what'd you guys think? Do you think he answered the question about Mandani? Do you think he answered the question about anti-Semitism? Do you think he answered the question about whether he's going to endorse? What do you think? Hakeem Jeffries, too corporate, Don. All right. What do you say? Hakeem Jeffries, too corporate, Don. Hope you good, Don. Yes, I am good. So what do you think? Make sure, again, as this person says, make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe and become a member. Do you think he was too corporate? Can we talk? You don't think he answered the AIPAC question? Someone says, producers, put some questions and answers up there. There's no confusion. He's not African-American. Stop the BS. They're talking about Mandani. AIPAC is my biggest concern with him. He explained it. He said it was like $36, I think he said, per donor or per whatever. And he was happy. He said that we had the opportunity to address it. That wasn't a sufficient answer for you? No? Don getting interviews like Jeffries and doing amazing work. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think he sounded like a politician too much. Well, that's why I told him, I said, I wanted him to come on the show and I wanted to have to feel like we can have a beer and talk rather than being so buttoned up and uptight. Not that he's uptight, but you know what I mean. Someone answered most of the questions. What do you mean by that? Someone answered most of the questions. Do you guys agree with that? Do you still support him? He needs to loosen up, says Kate Peabody. Velma Scarborough says, I feel like he's too cautious, like he was afraid to be uncensored. Okay. His answers weren't satisfactory, but you asked the right question, says Samara C. Cindy Turley says, I like Hakeem. It just need more aggressive energy. We talked about that, and that's not him. And you guys know that I have been very vocal about about him and others. Hakeem Jeffries is amazing, and I'm happy he was on your show, says Denise Girth. Thank you, Denise Girth. He is a gentleman, someone says in the comments. More meat, less fat, says Diana Benz. Hakeem Jeffries is amazing. I'm happy he came on the show. I'm happy he came on the show as well. And I wish that he would come back, and others. Again, we don't want people to feel like they're coming on the show and they're being attacked. I want to be able to ask the questions. I believe, quite frankly, and I actually learned a lot of this while interviewing Donald Trump, is that you can ask any question you want to anybody. To anybody. It's just in the tone. It's just in the tone. You can ask the same question with a smile that you can ask with a frown. Or you can ask the same question just deadpan with no emotion, right? Kev, the creator, says, great interview. I appreciate what he does, and he can be more aggressive, but I think he's being who he is. Yeah, that's what I said. So, yeah, he didn't directly answer the questions. That's Linda Furker. Linda, what would you want him to answer more directly? We are being real with him. We want Jeffries to succeed, says Lisa Galbraith. I feel you. A response isn't always an answer, says Oglish Presents. Thank you for that. By the way, everybody, can you please hit the thumbs up? Make sure you hit the thumbs up, the like button, and subscribe. The subscribe button is on the right-hand side of the screen, right under. You see where the comments are that's scrolling on the right-hand side of your screen at the bottom? There is a button there that says subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you have. And go and check out to make sure that you are subscribed. You hit that button and it says you're already a subscriber, that's fine. If it says that you're not, hit the subscribe button. It's free. Or you can become a member. Our memberships are very reasonable. That's how we stay on the air. That's how we stay streaming. Okay? He needs to let his hair down, says Dax. I think it's Dax. We are very diverse. What did the last commenter say? We are very diverse. I don't know what it says. We are a very diverse focus group. We are a very diverse focus group you have here. But yeah, casual observer, I like that. I like that. Real quickly, since we're here, I just want to get this in. Hopefully it'll work. I just want to talk about also support for the show today. And then we're going to do some other things. Support for the show today comes from Beam. Summer's almost here. And let's be honest, that doesn't mean that we can slow down. That doesn't mean that we can take a break. The news cycle is relentless. Every day we get served a new outrage from the folks on the right, mostly designed to overwhelm us and take us out of the fight. That is the right trying to scare us. They want us to get burnt out, tune out of what's happening, and they want us to roll over. But we got to counteract that by waking up every day ready, refreshed, and energized. And that's why I turn to Beam's Dream Powder. It's a natural sleep blend. It's designed to help you get deep restorative rest that your body and mind need to stay in the fight. Because here's the truth. You can't sustain the fight without rest, okay? So they've got great ingredients. It's all natural. Science-backed ingredients like reishi, magnesium L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. Dream helps you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up ready to organize, resist, and raise hell without the fog or the crash. So since I started with Dream, my focus has come back, my energy returned, and I'm ready to face the day, ready to stand up for the things that matter, right? And I'm not the only one. Beam's Dream Powder has improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep for people all across the country. So right now, Beam is offering up to 40% off of their best-selling Dream Powder for my listeners. It's a limited time offer and the perfect way to overcome that exhaustion and stay in the fight every day. So go to shopbeam.com and use the code LEMON at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/lemon and use code LEMON for up to 40% off. Sleep well, wake up ready. The fight continues. Support for the show also comes from Wild Alaskan Company. Wild Alaskan Company, some of the best fish that I have ever eaten. It is trusted seafood that you can bring into your home, that you can put into your body. They're all about nutrition, taste, and sustainability. Okay, so Wild Alaskan Company is the best way to get wild-caught, perfectly proportioned, nutrient-dense seafood delivered directly to your door. So trust me, you haven't tasted fish this good. And I like the cod. Tim likes the salmon. Wild Alaskan is 100% wild-caught, never farmed. That means there are no antibiotics, GMOs, or additives, just clean, real fish that support healthy oceans and fishing communities. Their fish is frozen off the boat to lock in the taste, the texture, and the nutrients like omega-3s. Wild-caught from Alaska. Every order supports sustainable harvesting practices, and your membership delivers flexible shipments, expert tips, and truly feel-good seafood. So, not all fish is the same. Go to get the seafood that you can trust. Go to wildalaskan.com/lemon for $35 off your first box of premium wild-caught seafood. That's wildalaskan.com/lemon for $35 off your first order. Thanks to Wild Alaskan Company for sponsoring this episode. Okay, thank you to our sponsors. All right, so I really want to know what you guys think in the comments. I'm so glad. Oh, folks are telling me they like the red eye, the sockeye, to be specific. I like salmon, red sockeye, to be specific. Okay. Anyways, so look, guys, that was show. I have been wanting to do that interview for quite some time. And I got to tell you, I asked every single question that I wanted to ask him. And he answered the way that he wanted to. And I felt like I was appropriately responsive, or that I pushed back. It was the appropriate degree of pushback for the type of conversation that I want to have. So anyways, that's what I wanted to tell you about interviewing him. Now we want to have on Zoran Mandani to come on the program. So shout out to him and his team. Come on over. Talk to us about everything. We don't bite. We won't hurt. And also, of course, we want to talk to you about issues. We want to talk, especially, I want to talk to you about the thing that I mentioned. I don't think it was a big deal, but I do think that I have to agree with Rachel Lindsay in that we would question anybody about it. And we can't be afraid to question people because perhaps we are supportive of them, or, there are no better choices. But I think that you have to be appropriate as a journalist. And yes, you have to ask him about that, because they also go on in that conversation. Now, by the way, Rachel Lindsay in that very interview said that she supports him. She said this wasn't disqualifying, that if she was a New Yorker, she would vote for him. She's in California. Now, I don't know if maybe she's a registered voter here in New York City, but she said she supports him and she doesn't think it's disqualifying, but that he does need to address it. Because what if there was, she said, a Black person that did not get in because of Mandani? Now, he did not get into Colombia. One, his dad worked there when he was trying to get in, so he never got in. But to me, it was certainly interesting to hear what she had to say about it. And so I think that that's a very good point. What would you be saying if somebody else did not get in, an actual African-American? What do you think? So let's see. I think we have a poll up that says, how would you rate Mandani? Not Mandani. I think it's Hakeem Jeffries. How would you rate Leader Jeffries' performance on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 to 3 said 15%, 4 to 6 said 35%, 7 to 10, 39%, 11 plus 10%. So I think he did pretty well. 7 to 10, 39%. That's the majority. Am I right, producers, or am I wrong? That's pretty good, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
No?
That's
All
good.
Right. I think that's pretty good. Okay, listen, we have a members-only show that's coming up after this. It is a members-only show that we have to get to. But let me just tell you this. You want to support the show? I just turned I don't know if you heard my air conditioning coming on. That's because, check this out. It's a little warm in here, so I had to pick up my fan. I just turned the air conditioner on. Got a little warm in here. There we go. So go check out our merch store. Let's put it up. There it is. We got some new merch up. We got some new pictures up on the site. Look at our merch store. Look how cool it looks now. That's me and my family. This is what my family looks like. Families come in all shapes and sizes now in America, in the world. And so there I am with the short sleeves. Tim has a sweatshirt on, and there is Boomer and Barkley and Gus, our little senior old man that you hear growling and barking all the time because he's just cantankerous and he's a cranky old man. And so check out, this is new to the store, guys. Look what we have. We have a lemon head candle. I love it, and it smells delicious. Now we have a hoodie. You guys have been asking for a hoodie. You got a hoodie. And then we have the new popcorn thing, right? The Don Lemon Show popcorn. So get your popcorn. And the fan now comes in black. And we have a new Turn the TV Off crew neck sweatshirt. And we're going to get it in a different color, a bolder Turn the TV Off for you guys, okay? And so that is the new stuff. You like the new look of our merch store? Looks good, right? And it's also Shopify. It's one of our sponsors, and that is on the Shopify platform. So there you go. That's our stuff. We got some new stuff up there. Make sure you check it out.
The link is in the top of the chat.
The link is in the top of the chat. I wore this on vacation. Everybody loved it. They're like, I got to get one of those. And then this is the other color. Don't you love that one? That was a little too big for me. Just got to pull it back like this. So anyways, I think this one, I like both of them. I think the lighter one might be a better color for me. You guys let me know what you think. You guys like this one? Or do you like that one? Or do you like both? I wore this one on vacation. I thought it was good. So there you go, Elimination. Link is in the top of the chat. Very easy. DonLemon.com has it all. Andy, can we put the link to the website up? DonLemon.com. You can go on our website. Or if you're looking for the merch, or you can go on our main page over on YouTube. If you go to Don Lemon, everywhere you want to watch on YouTube, you press that little arrow thing. You want to go on any other streaming, on Spotify, on iHeart Radio, and on Apple Podcasts, you can do it right there. Also, our merch store you see right below. And then our Substack is right below that. And then there it is. We got everything. So it's right on donlemon.com. Okay. So guys, look, you can be informed without being inundated. You don't have to sit in front of the TV. You don't have to get every single alert. You can control your own destiny and your own outrage factor and what you choose to, what's important to you. We got you covered here on the Don Lemon channel, on the Don Lemon Show. This is live at 5. We're live every day at 5 o'clock. We're also live every morning, or weekday morning and weekday evening at 5 o'clock, weekday morning at 10 o'clock. Okay. For our Hot Topics program. I am so tired. Look at that. I should not have dark circles after my vacation, but I'm only tired because of the jet lag, and I got back really late last night, but I had a great vacation, and I missed you guys. I hope you missed me, but I know the folks that sat in here, they did a great job, okay? So until I see you tomorrow at 10 a.m., I'm going to go over now to our private show for our members who are at a certain level, and they get to talk to us, and we're really going to talk. We're really going to chat because it's private, okay? So until I see you at 10 a.m., for those of you who are not members of that tier, turn the TV off. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never, ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will